Think about those aggressive rideshare companies from like a decade ago.
Right.
They heavily subsidized the rides with venture capital,
Yeah.
Just to get everyone hooked.
Yeah, drive the traditional cabs out of business.
Exactly. And then overnight, boom, your quick Tuesday morning commute suddenly costs like $40.
Right, the classic bait and switch.
Yeah. And looking at today's sources from the August 21, 2026 Daily Tech Reader, the artificial intelligence industry they're pulling that exact lever.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're doing a deep dive into how the AI sector is just instantly pivoting from this growth at all costs mindset to just ruthless monetization.
Yeah, the era of subsidized cheap AI to capture market share. I mean, it's officially dead.
Right.
These companies are now facing public market tests, which means they actually have to prove the underlying business works.
And the scale of these market tests is what really caught my eye in these sources.
Yeah.
Because, Anthropic is setting up an initial public offering this month. They're taking the company public to sell shares to everyday investors. And they're targeting a $2 trillion valuation.
$2 trillion.
Yeah, $2 trillion.
Yeah.
Which, to put that in perspective, that beats SpaceX's record $1.77 trillion debut.
It's massive.
Right. And when a company targets $2 trillion, they can't just be a cool research lab building, fun chatbots anymore.
No, absolutely not.
The math demands they generate the gross domestic product of a small country.
Right. And that intense pressure to generate revenue, it's happening globally. In China, DeepSeek just reopened an $8 billion funding round.
Wow.
Which values them at $74 billion.
Okay.
And they're gearing up for their own IPO on Shanghai's Star Market, which is essentially China's tech-heavy equivalent to the NASDAQ.
Right. Right.
So to prepare for that, DeepSeek released their V4 Pro model, which is this highly advanced AI system focused on autonomous agents, but at the same time, they hiked their API prices by up to 1,100%.
Wait, 1,100%?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to break down that API price hike because that's the toll developers pay to plug DeepSeek's brain into their own independent apps.
Right.
Raising that toll by 1,100% is just a brutal bait and switch. You hook third-party developers with dirt cheap access, let them build their entire startup around your infrastructure, and then once their business model is entirely dependent on you, you severely jack up the rent.
Well, they have to. I mean, DeepSeek is hiking those prices because the raw cost of compute, literally the electricity and processing power required to run these massive models, it's bleeding them dry.
Right.
And they aren't the only ones feeling that financial heat. The sheer cost of competing in this space is forcing even the wealthiest legacy tech giants to prune their operations.
Wow.
Like Microsoft, for instance, is aggressively trimming the fat.
Yeah.
They're retiring consumer features like Copilot podcasts and consumer deep research just to unify their fragmented apps into a single interface that can directly compete with ChatGPT.
And Apple is feeling that exact same squeeze. I mean, they just slashed over 200 jobs across their Siri and Vision Pro gaming teams to pivot towards smart glasses.
Well, they recognize they can't fight a multi-front war. They are cutting legacy projects because they desperately need to fund their core AI future, which heavily relies on a new $1 billion deal with Google.
Right.
Apple is actually using Google's Gemini 3.6 Flash model to act as the backbone for the new Siri AI in iOS 27.
But hold on, though. Apple outsourcing Siri's brain to Google.
Yeah.
That feels like brand suicide. I mean, isn't Apple's entire identity built on obsessively controlling their own ecosystem from the silicon up?
It is.
So outsourcing their primary digital assistant to their fiercest smartphone rival, it just seems completely out of character.
It is a massive compromise, but Apple is essentially performing a heart transplant on iOS while the patient is awake.
Oh, man.
They realized their legacy Siri architecture just couldn't handle generative AI. So they're tearing out Siri's old logic center and hooking up Google's Gemini as a temporary pacemaker.
Yeah.
It keeps the iPhone competitive today, which buys Apple's internal teams time to build their own proprietary AI for their upcoming smart glasses.
Okay, and if you're using Apple's ecosystem at home right now, you are the one about to subsidize this expensive heart transplant.
Oh, yeah.
Because Apple quietly put a paywall on their AI-generated home camera summaries.
Right.
If you want your phone to summarize those motion alerts, you now have to upgrade to their pricey iCloud plus 2 TB plan.
Yeah.
So everyday consumer features are getting paywalled, developers are getting squeezed, but strangely, enterprise businesses and college students are getting the red carpet treatment.
It's a total shift in who these companies view as their real long-term customers.
Yeah.
Like OpenAI just launched a zero data retention privacy option specifically for enterprise clients,
Oh.
guaranteeing corporate API inputs won't be used to train future models. They're bending over backward to answer corporate security demands.
And Google is taking a different route by handing out a free year of their premium AI Pro tier to college students globally.
Right.
And Anthropic is doing something similar by launching Claude Academy with courses and badges to teach AI fluency. But why bleed a startup developer dry on an 1,100% price increase, only to hand premium AI to a college sophomore for free?
It comes down to the mechanics of workflow.
Okay.
When a student learns how to write prompts and solve problems using Gemini, their brain adapts to Google's specific interface, logic, and ecosystem.
Ah, I see.
By the time they graduate and get hired by a Fortune 500 company, transitioning to an OpenAI interface feels like typing on a Dvorak keyboard.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're going to demand the corporate IT department purchase the Google tools they already know how to use. It is a long-term investment in enterprise loyalty.
So you secure the future workforce's habits today. So
Exactly.
you can guarantee massive corporate contracts tomorrow, which ultimately justifies those $2 trillion IPO valuations.
Yep.
So as Anthropic and OpenAI spread into the public markets, API costs surge, and the tools we use every day get locked behind steeper paywalls, it really raises a critical question for all of us. Are we rapidly moving toward a future where top-tier AI ceases to be an everyday utility and instead becomes a luxury resource exclusively controlled by the highest bidders? Something to mull over until next time.